is July 16, 2017 as a time marker on this video. I'm going to step through some subjects here. Been having camera problems, maybe battery problems, but so we're moving. Half Past Human is relocating several hours away on the Washington coast. We're going to be up high enough we don't have to worry about tsunamis, so no sweat there. Very interesting place we're moving to. It's a retirement / expand the business space. It'll give us a lot more space to get things done and a more congenial environment for moving into new work. And so we expect some interesting things over the next month as we go through the moving process. I heard a lot, the lifting and carrying all this 30 years of accumulation from our little upstairs to the downstairs, and all of the packing of the office and all of that is quite tedious and quite difficult. But we'll be done with it in about a month and sort of get back to regular production. I'm thinking maybe we can get a small update sometime in October, or excuse me, sometime in August, with a Alta report at the end of September. So for sure before October. I'm in the EM50. We've gotten it repaired. All of its running gear is good. And we did it at a small local business over here, McLeese Automotive in Olympia, Washington. Let me tell you, these guys are real motorheads. They know what they're doing. We replaced all kinds of old running gear on this 1977 Beast, and it drives like a brand new truck. It's really cool. It's difficult. For me, it's driving something that's odd because I'm used to an articulated truck and trailer, and so the fact that the wheels are back that far makes it a little difficult. But I'm getting the hang of it. But it's nice and sound. It's very stable and steady, and all of the old gear is gone. So McLeese Automotive in Olympia here did the work. They've got a lift that'll handle something like this EM50. The reason I bring it up is not only to give them a plug, but also to bring up the idea of small business. I think these guys have got 6 or 7 people working at their shop, and if somebody rolled on in and took a month of their time for 2 of their people, like I did with this rig here, and if they had to pay on time to the business, then that puts a real strain on the business. They don't have the ability to pay their employees if they're waiting to get paid on an invoice. Plus, they've got to lay out money for parts and stuff before getting paid for use. And so it becomes a real issue for the small business. This is where Populous comes in. Populous's idea is to move in with the blockchain and do invoice factoring. Invoice factoring is where I'm owed a debt as a small business, but I need to pay my employees now. So what I do is I basically put that debt as hock, in hock as a collateral for money now, and the people that are giving me the money now take a small piece of my profit in order to provide the liquidity. And it's what the banks do. And it's, the month-to-month loaning that keeps most of the SMEs, or small to medium enterprises, going in the Western republics because they've got to pay their employees, but they don't have the money now. And so Populous is doing this with the blockchain. They're setting up a fair, trustworthy system without all of the middlemen, without all of the rake-offs and the near loan sharking that goes on in the small business factoring. And so Populous, that niche is just going to go. I mean, it is just going to be hugely profitable. As a small business, if I had somebody owing me money, that's the route I would go rather than deal with some of the banks at 5 and 6 and 7%. Just huge costs. And then there's fees on top of that. And you never figure the fees in on the percentage, but if you do that, you really raise the percentage rates. So in any event, Populous is going to go really well. Or the niche is. I can't guarantee on any given firm, any given company, but Populous is, as a community, they're there first, they've got a good approach, and it's going to be a very well-funded niche. And be very profitable for those people that have cryptos that want to get into the business of backing invoices. Populous had a good approach to this. They're using a thing called extensible business markup language. This has been in use in Britain since I was coding for British Airlines in the 80s, since I was writing code then. And business markup language is kind of like HTML. You can use it to extract data and put it right into databases and stuff. And Populous is smart enough to have developed an interface that allows their invoicing product to suck out all of the details through this XBML. I have to apologize, like I say, to Populous, because I was unaware that a video of mine was being used in what amounts to kind of an extortion plot, and that all of the FUD, all of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt seems to be sole sourced from the people involved in that. So my apologies. I personally don't think it's a big deal in terms of it doesn't seem to me that it's going to impact the future of Populous per se. All of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt is coming from this fight that these people are having with the Populous management when they said, no, piss off, we're not going to pay you money for doing videos. Or we would pay you money, I guess, for doing videos if we commissioned them, but we didn't, so, you know, there you go, guy. And you're asking too much money anyway, I think. That's just that's just where we are with the Populous thing. My apologies again to the community as a whole. I didn't know that this was going on. I won't be participating in stuff like that in the future. This brings up something else. This brings up the theft of videos out of YouTube and other sources, and how I'm going to deal with it. This one may be one of my very last videos that you'll be able to watch on YouTube. And this is because I've come up with a scheme that allows me to get around all of the video theft without involving YouTube or copyright or any of that. I'm going to take a programmatic approach to it. I'm going to actually control my own destiny on this. And I've come up with a model view controller, a program design paradigm that will allow me to do this. Fundamentally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and create videos and upload them to YouTube and all these other places as usual. And you'll go to look at them in your browser, and you'll open up your browser, and you're going to see snow. You're going to see something akin to digital artifacts representing the snow from the 1950s television screens. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have your browser over here. Can we see that? Yeah. I'm going to have your browser. Let's move that ever so slightly. There we go. Okay. Have the browser, which does the display. Then we have the server over here with the video itself. And it's going to stream, as usual, over to your browser. But your browser is not going to get anything without having my plugin. And so I'm developing a plugin. This is why this was an adjunct and aside to getting into the full stack programming and mean and node and this kind of stuff. JavaScript's kind of cool. You can make it very much C-like and very tight and very dense, so I kind of like that. And there's some kind of tricks I know that I'm going to see if I can actually make JavaScript do. In any event, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to not develop my own codec, but I am going to take and produce and store my videos in an encrypted format. It'll be a stream. It'll be readable by any stream processing, but the only stream information it'll get without my plugin is going to be a representation, as I say, of a 1950s style snow event in your television. It'll be nonsensical and not worth watching. And so you'll be able to certainly thieve it if you want, but unless they happen to have unless your potential viewer happens to have my plugin for their browser, they won't be able to view this. And true, the plugin will be JavaScript and so forth, but it's going to have a couple of quick little hooks in it that will have an approved source aspect of this. So it's not actually a codec that I'm developing, but we can call it that way. But I'm using an old model view controller thing. So my software here that actually allows it to decode and display, my ugly old face up here in an image, that controller is going to check to make sure that you haven't fiddled with the source. And so if you're not on an approved source, it's not going to run. It's just going to say, nope, this is likely a stolen chunk of video. Now, technically or theoretically, I mean, this is not, this is at a paradigm level, this is not really internet flavored, so to speak, okay, because I'm having to restrict access. But the reason I have to restrict access is because I'm getting too much shit from people stealing my videos, and not from them. I'm getting the problem from the people who watch those videos and then get hold of me and say, blah, 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 blah. And I've got to tell them, no, you're looking at something that's 10 years old, you know, that they've stripped out identifiers, or they've chopped it up to make their own, you know, they've cut and spliced it and put it together to put out their own agenda using my words. And it wasn't me. I didn't do it. It wasn't on my site. And people don't understand that unless they get it on my site or at somebody else's approved site. So say that I did an interview with Greg Hunter. If you're not seeing it on Greg Hunter's site or through a YouTube link from my channel to Greg Hunter's site, then they may have indeed chopped it up for their own purposes and edited this. And you'll never know. Now, a lot of these people are simply stealing it, relabeling it, putting up on their channel to try and make some money off of the clicks because they're trying to make money through advertising. And I understand, guys, I'm not opposed to that. I don't make any money off of the advertising myself. I have to monetize my videos to get them into the SEO stream in a particular way, because if you don't monetize, you're not indexed in the same manner. You're a second class or third class or fourth class video if you're not monetizing them. And even if they demonetize the thing, it still gets it flipped over into the monetized video search. So it's worth doing just to be able to up your search level, right? Because otherwise you're relegated off into the corral. You're off into the far pasture here of YouTube and stuff. And so I have to monetize. But I don't want everybody else stealing the videos, not because I'm trying to prevent them from making money off of my image, because I just don't give a shit. And if they were actually out there simply promulgating it, and it didn't blow back on me in terms of people seeing old stuff or stuff that's been chopped up and a new agenda put with my words, I wouldn't care that they're making money off of my ugly old face. I'm not using it for that purpose. They might as well. You know, I own the image. I went ahead and copyrighted that and trademarked and that kind of shit just so that I could sue people if I had to. You know, I don't try and make money off of it that way. That's not my point. It's not my goal. But I'm pissed and tired. I'm an old guy. I'm tired of having to spend and waste time dealing with old information being recirculated, re-chopped up by someone trying to make money in this new now. And as a result of that, I've decided, well, I can either stop doing videos and let it all die off on its own, which I'm very tempted to do that, simply because videos are a pain in the ass to do. I mean, if you really get into it, it takes a lot of time here. You wouldn't believe what I had to do this one in the process of all the moving. I'm lucky the EM50 is back, or it wouldn't have happened. But in any event, here's the deal. The codec approach that I'm going to take, I'm going to release that, guys. I'm going to release the whole process here, the whole suite of little software tools that will encrypt your video stream before you upload it to YouTube, and then the controller that will trigger the plugin on the browser that will allow it to be decoded. And so Greg Hunter, you know, Sarah Westall, all of these really good interviewer guys will be able to do this and not have their material stolen and reused on YouTube. And so it'll really cut down on a lot of clutter on YouTube. YouTube may do things to me, okay? I may get strikes against me, or who the hell knows what's going to happen when I do this, because I'll be uploading a video that will meet all of the specifications required by the stream that they deal with, but it'll be non-intelligible to humans without my special plugin that you'll be able to download off of my site. And that plugin is going to have certain elements in it, as I say, to protect my source and so on. I hate having to do this. Pain in the ass. Interesting bit of coding. I mean, I'd done some streaming stuff before and dealt with television transmissions that were being encrypted between broadcast studios in Seattle and Olympia, and that was kind of cool. And so I'm taking a deeper look at it, and I sort of enjoy that part of it. But it's a pain in the ass to be diverted over into this area just because of just because of the stance that YouTube took. Because we didn't used to have to deal with this, and then YouTube decided anybody and everybody could monetize any fucking thing that they wanted to be able to steal and put up there, and YouTube was out of the policing their own platform business. And so if that's the case, we'll see just, what kind of an issue it becomes with YouTube when we institute, Clif's decoder ring here for watching his videos and see how they react to this. Because it'll of course do things like I want, like it would strip out commercials and all of that kind of business as well. So that's that part. Let me get this out of here. I'm going to need this space. Okay. So, moving, Populous apology, video anti-theft, crypto encryption, decoder ring. And then the last thing here before I go and edit this and then upload it and go to all this trouble and get it online and stuff is the cryptos, okay? It's like, chill, people, chill. This is a natural part of this crocodile tooth stuff I've been telling everybody about. We're on the back side of this tooth. These crocodile teeth look like, they're like, they've got a gum line and the whole thing, and there's gaps between teeth. And we've got one that looks like this kind of stuff, and it went way the hell up, and then it crashed down, and it looks like that kind of thing. And it goes on up, and it goes up like that, then it crashes down again, then it's back up again, and then it crashes down. And they call these things double tops, by the way. It's obvious why they call them that. They're somewhat significant, I guess, to chartists. I don't know really what the significance is much myself, but I'll show you where I think we're at. Okay, so this is sort of our pattern over these past few weeks. We're in this area down in here, and we're on the back side of this crocodile tooth, like I was saying, and we've been seeing this kind of action here, kind of like that. And these little things are meant to be the upward and downward spikes of the daily action. Okay, and so if I've got to do this, I'm trying to translate this out of some basic linguistic notes here. Okay, so we're sort of like this, and maybe it's a little bit more lumpy right around in here, and so we're right over here, and what I think is happening is kind of like there's this fellow Tone Vase. His head is going to explode if he hears my name mentioned too many times, and I think he's a chartist, but he's been reasonably right on a lot of these things in terms of his price projections in a much closer to the moment scale than I normally deal with. And so you may want to check it out. He's got better representations than my crude little chart here. But my linguistics are telling me that we're about to get to that part of the tooth that is this like little gap here that is between the teeth. And this actually should probably come down more like that or something. I'd actually have to see the real chart of, and this would be Bitcoin, okay, Bitcoin to USD. But in any event, so we're right in here, and it's not going to keep going down. It's not going to plunge back to huge levels like this. The data shows that we're going to get into this kind of a humped thing. We're sort of humped up like that. And that's building the gum line. And that's actually how it describes it in the data. I mean, why we have teeth and, all kinds of oral structure, human or animal language around the Bitcoin and other crypto movements, I don't know. I mean, it actually called it crocodile teeth. Had a number of different teeth references within the data. Probably because people are going to be very chart oriented, and maybe I don't know. In any event, that's our metaphor or our paradigm that we're dealing with. And so what we're actually getting into at this point is the building of this gum line here. Now, the interesting part for me is that if you look at it in one particular way, like a fractal sort of thing, like the chartists do, and I'm sure Tone Vays has got an entire structure, you know, all kinds of interesting, very precise language to describe it all that I have not got a clue as to about it, because I've never gotten into this sort of stuff. But from my viewpoint, this gum line is on the back side of one tooth, and it builds prior to the front side of the next tooth. And these are what the front side of the teeth look like in this area here, right? And this down here would be a building gum line again, if that makes any sense. So we're going to replicate this here, only it's going to be much more expanded and much deeper insofar as the descriptions we get out of our data. And it is true, I've had to shut down the data flow to my site here, but I've got the servers running because we were really smart. We had a few shekels from our crypto work, and I was able to invest it into some new server equipment, which we needed anyway. We got this stuff up and running, had a hot swap kind of a situation with the software, dual processing on one, Igor shutting down the other, and he can take his time to move the other hardware and then bring it back in as a backup and an adjunct to our processing capability. So the servers are still functioning, even though all of my receiving and analysis part is all shut down as we get ready to make the move. So just before I did this shutting down over this last day, I'm not 100% disconnected as you see because I'm putting up this video, but I mean in terms of the usual background processing I run it. Just before shutting it down, I went through and looked at all the linguistics, and it tells me we're into the gum line and that we can project. I am projecting. I haven't gotten into the analysis yet, but I'm projecting based on the size of the gum line that we'll hit the front of the tooth sometime in September. And so my data is actually showing 28288 USD to the Bitcoin, to BTC, and our time period within the data sets seems to be around the 24th of August. So if that's the case, then it's suggesting that that is our base from which the next tooth is constructed. And you chart guys, so somebody go and, you know, find Tone Vays and poke him with a stick and give him some more and ask him to do the projections for the size of that tooth, if I'm correct. And it would be, of course, proportional to the previous tooth, only bigger, right? How much bigger? I don't know. I don't do chart stuff. And I don't have any numbers out of the data yet. That's what I rely on, is my linguistic data. But basically, the front of the tooth is out over here somewhere. And let me see, get out of the way there so we can see that. So as you can see, here, I'll swap over. So as you can see, we're out here, and the front of the tooth is up there. And that's my understanding of the place that we're at within the cryptos. And like I say, if you were to go and get get Tone Vays and poke him with a stick and offer him some more and a little cup of milk, you know, and say, hey, Tone, can you talk to me about this? He might be able to tell you, well, you know, if Cliff is correct about this, there's some kind of a chart relationship that says we should be at X number of dollars up there. So now, in terms of the time here, I haven't done the factoring on this, but like I say, I think we'll be into that sometime in September-ish. So data set said 2888, and it appeared as I shifted model space back and forth within our little tiny viewer that we were about the last week in August there, around the 24th or so. And that's the best data I've got at the moment, and I'm moving, and I hurt a lot, so I don't need this shit. But everybody freaking out over prices, it's like, this is just what happens in cryptos, people. You know, there used to be a saying, and we're talking about a couple of years ago, there was a saying, if you haven't lived through at least one Bitcoin crash, you're not a Bitcoiner. You know, unless a lot of people freak out when Bitcoin goes from 1,000 to 100, you know. They lost it when it went from 40 down to 4. But, you know, the data says this stuff is solid, it's going, and look, we're developing whole industries around the blockchain. This is not a flash in the pan. It is a wild, wild west. It's something you're going to have to really harden up to emotionally if you're have a tendency to be nervous. Well, you know, maybe you need to take drugs. I don't know, guys, but it's not that terrible because we're going up this way. We're not heading down that way. I don't know where our inflection point thing here is. I think we're close to it. The data suggests that we're going to do a rounding, you know, on the 24th or 25th of July. There's going to be some interesting news about Veritasium, apparently. If I'm reading the data correctly, we're going to get a nice bit of crypto pop as a result of some crypto news. I happen to think from the data sets, I'm interpreting that I think it's for Veritasium. Okay, so we've done cliffs moving to the coast. Populous, I apologize again, guys. I didn't know that shit was going on. Nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry. It won't happen in the future. One of the reasons it won't happen in the future is I'm going to start really monitoring who's doing what with what I'm saying from this point forward, and use my video codec or my clifs decoder ring for his videos to prevent people from stealing them in any kind of a fashion. Might take me a month or so to get out and test. So, you know, might roll it out later this fall. It's going to be kind of cool, though. Anyway, so there's that, and then there's the crypto flow. So that's it. Sorry it took so long to get through this, and now I've got to go off and do work. more hauling and shifting. But I actually think I've got a really good moving solution, so I'm going to go and check that out today, rather than me driving trailer loads of stuff several hours each way. Okay, guys, that's it, I guess. Thanks much.